What is up, YouTube? M40. We're going to be looking at Herman Hansen's 44th place Praying Kids deck profile. Now, this is not the first place list, and Frozen Card Gaming was actually the ones that went ahead and posted this information on Facebook, so everybody got the chance to see it. Now, I wanted to cover this because Herman was playing this deck actually in the first round of the Zodiac tournament, and I know you guys want Hunter's list as well, the crazy ABC Invoked Plant Thunder Dragon, that crazy hybrid deck. So give me some likes on this. I will try to get that list for you guys as well. So no promises, but I'll see what I can do. Now, there were some pretty big differences here between the first place list and Herman's list. And like I said, Herman's knowledge and things like that, messing around with the deck, like he's very, very good at what he does. I do like talking to him about some things. So first off, Herman did go for more of a hand trap-esque setup than first place. Having the 2 copies of Ghost Ogre as opposed to the first place that did not play that many hand traps. This is fine. Herman, I could definitely tell, was a little bit more sketch about the format. This was definitely an event that you were going into where things are not defined. Like, you guys need to understand that when things are not defined, then that means that there's a lot of scary things that can happen to you. Something can happen left field or something. So having Ghost Ogre to kind of be your clutch to make sure in case something happens or you need a situation fixer, like, you got that from Ghost Ogre. And I definitely like that about Herman's list in general. He was just taking more advantage of things. Now, Herman was playing 2 Doodles and 2 copies of Bow Wow Wow Wow. Meanwhile, first place was only playing 3 copies of this, 1 copy of this. And another big one was first place was playing 3 Rocket. Meanwhile, Herman's list, you know, was playing Unicorn. I understand the logic behind Unicorn. I like having a Link 3 that I can have access to out a troublesome card if need be. It's all about the little things that you want to adjust and kind of mess around with in the deck. And honestly, I think that this is not a bad overall call to kind of include in the deck. You know, kind of make sure of things. Now, first place was playing really weird things like Invocation, having them act as additional spell cards. Now, one thing that we found very interesting about Herman's list was Fusion Recycling Plant. So once per turn, you can discard a card. So any Armada or any sort of dead resource that you need, you can get. So discard 1, add Polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. During the end phase, target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as fusion material for a fusion summon this turn, and recur it back to your hand. So the -1 inherently will recur itself back for the discard. So you can kind of make sure that, like, you're not totally out. Just the full neg for it. Plus, I mean, call it what it is. I mean, having another field spell that you can search to kind of start your combo is not particularly a bad thing. Meanwhile, first place over here, you know, has to hard draw the additional invocations and things like that. Searchers, they're not such a bad thing to have. Now, in general, Herman's list was definitely geared more towards necessarily, like, being afraid of things. Like, you can see the strong suits of wanting to have the consistency engine kind of built into the main deck, and I can respect that from Herman. You know, in terms of knowledge and kind of seeing how we got from point A to point B, in terms of looking at the overall build, I get it, man. Like, you were very confident in the card choices, and I agree with you on a lot of these. Like, I probably would have been considering Ogres and things like that too. The unfortunate downside is you're still a combo deck. And one more thing I do want to point out here. Herman is not playing Desires. Now, first place list was, and I get why a lot of people are like, oh no, like, why would you play Desires in this deck? You're a combo deck. It's kind of the same logic with Sky Strikes. Oh, why do you play Desires? Drawing those 2 resources to kind of make sure that you can build your board and, you know, produce this guy or, you know, produce this guy is pretty important, actually. And for the most part, resource games is just one more step that you can make up the ladder. And I do think that producing the large monsters is definitely pretty important, actually. So that's just kind of something to note. So let's dig on into the beautiful deck, shall we? Triple copies of Ash Blossom. This is essentially mandatory. You need some sort of stable defense to kind of make sure that your deck can function. And that's the one thing I was talking about with the Ghost Ogre. Like, fundamentally, I get it. I get why you want these cards to kind of make sure that no matter what happens along the ride, essentially, like, you'll be fine. Now, of course, we're playing triple dropsies. Since the graveyard for fusion material or, link material, you gain 1,000 life points and you get to special summon another guy from my hand or deck. Pransies over here, you get to mill one and special summon one. Love that card so much. And then, of course, we got triple Lamseys, ping your opponent for 500, special summon one. And then Roxy's, our banish one, draw a card, and then special summon. Why did they have to make this? Like, do we have more support coming we don't know about? Then, of course, triple Called by the Grave. Now, this is very important. You're playing a combo deck. Combo decks lose to disruption. Depending on what your opponent hits when you're climbing ladders and things like that, you do need this to kind of make sure that your deck can function. And it definitely sucks saying that, because I know Called by the Grave can be a bad card, but still, it's not bad at all. Now, self-sufficiently over here, we have one copy of Recycling Plant. Once again, it's another field spell. You're already playing double copies of Terraforming. You have no real reason not to want to try this. Obviously, first place had more success with Invocation throughout the day, and that's fine for the most part. But Fusion Recycling Plant getting you some sort of advantage to make sure that you're getting those polymerizations consistently. Triple copies of Instant Fusion. I mean, you could understand why you would want the other rocket to kind of make sure that you could toggle out. I guess it's personal player preference. I never draw Instant Fusion when I play good decks, so it's kind of how it is. Triple copies of Polymerization. This is pretty much going to be a staple from this point on for everybody that does want to play this deck. Unfortunately, like, you do need very good cards that allow you to make your big guys. Once again, we've also got triple Prankets Pandemonium. Once again, another fusion card for the archetype. And then, of course, triple copies of Palace. I don't see next card. Now, first place was only playing 2 copies of this. I can understand the issue of not wanting to play 2 of these. So you can discard a card, or you can discard 1 Prankets card, special summon 1 Prankets token, Pyro Fire level 1, but it cannot be attributed. And during the end phase, you can target 3 Prankets cards in your graveyard, except for Pranks, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card. So this is kind of your pot of avarice. I think one thing that Herman might have been fearful of when playing this deck was just kind of losing his resources valuement, needing to make sure that he could get them back online. Plus, if you see multiple copies of this, it's not like you can't discard it anyway. You know what I mean? We have 2 copies of Terraforming. Pretty self-explanatory here. 1 copy of Upstart. To those of you that are like, oh, why are you playing this? Just 1 more resource. Digging 1 further card into the deck was not bad. And then he played 2 Prankeds Plan, or he played 1. Meanwhile, first place played 2. I don't see any issue with this. This works out. Now, the extra deck down here, differences aside, it's pretty much what I would expect to see from Prankets at this point. So, 1 Rip Roarin' Roaster. 2 copies of Doodle Doo. Like I said, first place was playing 3 of this. And then 2 copies of Bow Wow Wow Bark. Honestly, the search off of this is pretty important, actually. And then we have 1 copy of Unicorn. Spot removal is pretty good, but take it for a grain of salt for what you will. We have 1 copy of Phoenix, just general spell and trap removal. Boral Sword, Borreload, these 2 will act in combination to kind of answer any of the big issues that you're going to be seeing in the format, actually. 1 copy of Totally Awesome. Depending on the board you're making, that 1 disruption will be key. 2 copies of the Weather Washer, and then 2 copies of Rocket Ride, and then 1 copy of the Battle Butler. Now, the side deck, sides are pretty much different, except for Evenly's. Oh, and Denko's, correct. So, Herman was playing triple copies of Lancia. I feel like this is just kind of depending on the matchup. If you're playing against, like, I want to say Warrior, but I don't think it's necessarily all that correct. Stopping your opponent from recurring sword can be good, but it seems terrible. But anything that's like big RFG based, here you go. We got it. Triple copies of Denko Sekka. I really hate losing to back row decks. Fuck you, Sky Striker. Now, Herman was playing triple Bell. First place was playing Gamma and Driver. Kind of pick your poison for what you want to go for. Honestly, just Bell seemed like a better option, and I can understand that. Then we have triple Evenly Matched in triple Red Reboot for Herman. Meanwhile, first had Impermanence over Red Reboot. But honestly, that Ultra Guys matchup is pretty annoying. So this is Herman's 44th place list. I just wanted to talk about some of the difference that were going on between the two lists and kind of give some opinions on what was going on. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And well, guys, I'm out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.